Hey everybody! In the next two videos I'm going to show you how to paint this forest scene with a Hydra. Yes, you're hearing that correct. It's going to be a two-part video because it's a pretty complex painting even though it's small. Give this video a like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. We start with painting the sky. I use titanium white with a hint of brilliant blue for this and spread the paint out with a flat brush. I don't cover the whole sky area as there will be lots of trees and leaves in front and I don't like wasting paint. For the foliage in the background I use a very light green color and I created this by mixing titanium white and permanent green light. Again, I only cover a part of the canvas board as there will be plenty of stuff going on in the foreground. I mix permanent green light and olive green dark for the main body of the foliage in the middle and foreground. By using a fan brush and a dapping motion, you can easily create the illusion of individual leaves. Just be sure to turn your brush in different directions, so not all leaves are in the same direction. For the stems of the small trees, I used a mixture of burnt umber and a warm grey. You can vary the contents of the two colors to get different colored trees or parts of the trees different color. Don't go too crazy on the branching out of the trees. Normally branches grow in pretty straightforward directions and don't go crazy. And since you want to keep it natural, even though it's fancy painting, don't do too weird shit. So now the trees in the background are painted and we add a new layer of foliage in a lighter mix of permanent green light and olive green dark. With this we cover the tree trunks a little bit and we bring some depth into the painting. For the tree in the foreground, I use a mix of warm grey, burnt umber and some olive green dark. Lighten one side of the tree with a mixture of warm grey and olive green and mix this well into the darker side. Create another tree in Oxide black and burnt umber behind it and create leaves with a mixture of sap green and Oxide black. You can use this same mixture to darken some foliage near the tree trunks. This shows that there's fewer light coming in and it's deeper into the forest. Create yet another tree with Oxide black and burnt umber, slightly darker than the previous one. And use a mixture of burnt umber and olive green dark to create some more trees in the background. You can use the same mixture for placing some trees closer. You can use some more green into the mixture to make it lighter and to show it nearer. And blend warm grey into the tree trunk for the part that reflects some sunlight. And you can add some yellow-green to the warm grey for creating moss or algae on the trunk. Again, mix burnt umber and olive green dark for another tree trunk. I used a larger portion of burnt umber here. You don't want the two tree trunks to have the exact same color, of course. Also make sure that, in this case, the right side of the tree trunk is darker than the left side. Put some more olive green in the mix again for painting the ground. For the ground in front, I use only burnt umber at first. As it is in the front, it should have more clear color than the rest of the forest, and the olive green faded out most of the harsh brown tones. But to make it appear more natural, I decided to add a little bit of olive green into it later on. To create some rocks on the water side, I mixed titanium white and oxide black to create a gray color, a darker and a lighter one, and one half of the rocks I paint the lighter gray and the other side I paint a darker gray. With permanent green lights and a fan brush, I create some bushes, young trees, just greenery on the ground. And since no swamp or forest is complete without a fallen tree, I used burnt umber and warm grey to create this fallen tree over the water. More burnt umber on the underside of the trunk, and I use more warm grey on the upper side. And I should have painted the water before the fallen tree. But yeah, now we have to do that after. And I use a mixture of a lot of permanent green light, some olive green, and some white for the water. As the water reflects the tree tops, yeah, that's why it's green and not a little bit more gray or blue. I add some streaks of white into the water to show the reflection of the sky. And I continue painting the water with this light green mixture that came out of it. I leave part of the water blank because I hate spilling paint, and yeah, I will cover it anyway. And with the same colors that I just used, with varying amounts, I paint the rest of the water. Then I continue with painting some fallen branches or roots with burnt umber and oxide black. So after that we need some more greenery on the ground. I decided to use sap green for more color variation. And in line of adding more color variations, I also added some foliage on the ground made from permanent green light and titanium white. And this is how far we will go for now. Next week we will continue with the final part of the grounds and, of course, the Hydra. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and see you next week!